Hey guys, welcome back. Today, I would like to discuss something that is very, very important. Something which we are all intimately aware of. However, I imagine most of you don't notice it on a daily basis, or even ponder it. Maybe the 200 and some odd folks that are my subscribers. If you are my subscriber, you're number one A-OK in my book. Park at CVS and finish this. This video is going to be about alternate realities and the multiverse and the tangled mess of possible reality that we currently exist within. Now, I'm going to try to explain this as best as possible by illustrating it with a metaphor, but there's really no metaphor that will do it justice because it's such a highly conceptual idea, reality. Imagine, if you will, that you're sitting down, standing up, whatever, watching my video as you currently are on whatever kind of device you're watching it. Cell phone, tablet, computer, television, whatever. Now imagine that you decide to hit stop on my video. Don't, because then you won't get the rest of the metaphor, but imagine you hit stop. And then, instead of continuing to watch my video, you decide to watch George Carlin's stand-up specials from the 90s. That is a good idea. George Carlin's great. Probably one of my favorite comedians, if not my favorite. But give it a second before you switch over to Carlin. Let's just, for this thought experiment, imagine you decide to watch his stand-up instead of watch me. Alright, now let's call that column B. Column A is you continuing to watch me. Now let's move over to column C. Column C, you decide to watch the Joe Rogan podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience, instead of watching me. And let's go to column D. Let's say you decided to watch your favorite YouTube personality. Since I've been ragging on him lately, let's use Tyler Douche from Secure Team 10. So that's D for douche. So that is 4 realities, 4 different possibilities, all of which are within your causal framework because you have the ability to do all those things. Right now, just like you could reach your hand out and slap the device with which you're watching me on, or you can pick your nose, or you can scratch your butt. All those things are completely within your causal platform, and thus within our reality bubble. Now imagine the multiverse, the reality framework on which this bubble sits, to be analogous to a bowl of angel hair pasta. A bunch of thin tubules that are tangled up in a mess. If you have a bowl of angel hair pasta, you're looking down into the bowl, and you are viewing the top layer of pasta. You can't see the bottom, or even the middle, or even most of the second or third layer of noodles. Just that first layer, the top layer, the shell of the bowl. That presentation, the top. That's your causal bubble. Everyone on planet Earth, in our reality, shares the same top of the bowl of noodles. We share the same bubble of causality, meaning that we can shift reality, but only in as much as we have the ability to affect change within our own particular lives. For instance, Jacob Rothschild can dramatically shift realities. He can make huge changes because he has all of our energy in the form of fiat currency, which we exchange our work for. So by allowing him to take all of our energy in the form of money through taxation, theft really, we give him the ability to perform basically miraculous changes to our multiverse, to our causal framework. If Jacob Rothschild wants to, he can bomb Japan instantly. Whatever. He can do a lot of things because he has infinite money. That being said, you probably, and if you have as much money as Jacob Rothschild, then you should go down to the bottom of my video and click on that PayPal donate button. I need $300 more before I can move into this house I found today. But chances are most of you don't have the ability to do things like genocide out entire race of people, or bring war to the Middle East in Iraq and Afghanistan, or Libya, or Syria, or Sudan, or any of the other myriads of countries that the Rothschilds have turned on their heads in order to consolidate their Federal Reserve currency system. You don't have the ability to do that. You have the ability to do a minute number of things to change reality. You can only do what you can do. A lot of times you just kind of go with the flow. Just go into like a back burner mode where you let the universe take you where the universe is going. Meaning that, you are a spectator and not an active participant in the shift of our curve, our causal bubble, through into different layers of those noodles to expose. Like how you stir noodles whenever you're trying to get them to cool down because they're really hot, and you expose the bottom to the air, all that steam rises off. Whereas before you stirred it, there wasn't a lot of steam rising off because all that heat was trapped underneath those layers of noodles. Well, someone like Jacob Rothschild can stir the fucking noodles. There's not a lot you can do if you don't have a ton of ability to influence reality on a global scale. However, there are some ways that you can make the universe come to you. And this is through a trick that I have picked up over the last 4 months or so. You have to be random. You have to be completely unexpected. You have to do the thing that the universe expects the least. Whether that is just completely and acting completely retarded, or saying a word that no one's ever said before, or throwing a brick through a window, or just doing the thing that you expect yourself to do the least all the time. See, the universe wants to operate in a flow. It will take certain members of that reality that have the most active role in shaping the future, and it will designate those as prime co-creators, and then go with their flow. So you're basically going with them. You're following along because you don't have as much ability or desire even to shape the outcome or to shape the directional flow of our bubble through the layers of noodles and expose new noodles to the open air. However, if you start acting completely random, the universe has to shift every time you do that to accommodate the new change, even if it's something very minute. By doing it repeatedly, little by little, the universe starts trying to follow your pattern because your pattern is so random, it figures it might as well make you one of the prime co-creators of this reality and thus movers of this universal matrix through the bowl of noodles instead of having to try to accommodate you as a follower. It will start using you as a default agent of change, if that makes sense. It's easier for the universe to shift to you as opposed to having to recreate itself because you are influencing it out of turn. Oh, God, I hope that makes sense. Let's try to explain this in a metaphor, because metaphors are often very helpful in these situations. Okay, your family. Let's say you have some children. Your children, okay, in an old school type world, 1890s. Let's say you have a family in the 1890s. You have children. Your children are expected to go to school. Your children are expected to clean, do chores. Your children are expected to follow the rules and not misbehave. And as a child, you have very limited power to decide what your family is doing. If your dad says we're going to the park, then you're going to the park if your dad decides that. However, if that child pitches a fit and this makes it completely impossible for that adult to do anything that it wants to do, then the adult will fucking throw his hands up and go, fuck it, whatever. We're not going to the fucking park because you were just making too big of a fuss. That kid, even though it doesn't typically have the power to drive or affect change within its family unit, because of it acting so against the grain and being so not what it should be, an obedient child, because it is being a tantrumy brat, it shifted the course of the future. Let's say that in one reality, the kid didn't throw a temper tantrum and y'all went to a park. And let's say that park got um, got hit by a meteorite and everyone in it died. You would be dead in that causal framework. However, let's say that on the other hand, you actually followed the child's lead and decided not to go to the park because it was easier just to change your plans to accommodate that child, even though the child has less power to influence reality than you do because it has less ability to do things in reality. It doesn't have the ability to earn money and thus like go buy things or have a house or create something new that is like a work of art that is revered, or that child has very limited ability to affect reality in a way that is substantive until it gets older and has more power in the world. However, because you capitulate and allow the child to make the decision for you by it acting against its nature, or maybe with its nature, but listen, in this metaphor, we'll say that it's against their nature to be, bad little kids. Because of them going against the grain, being in that respect random, the parent, who in this metaphor would be the universe, passes along the buck to the child, which is you, the person of less substantive change, changeability, less substantive ability to affect the outcome of change in the causal matrix, which is reality. But Because in one of those realities, you die, and so are your children, that reality flashes out of existence. It passes out completely of your causal framework. Once that event has transpired, it can never be redone because you shifted your causal bubble from one layer of noodles to another. You're now, the bubble, you dying is now outside of the bubble because now you can no longer go back into the past and do the things that you thought um, that you did, basically. Um, each noodle represents a path. And you can basically make it so that some noodles can never be got to. For instance, I imagine the vast majority of the universes would be universes in which human life never sprang into existence. I have no idea. Let's just throw a random number out there. 95% of the universes in the multiverse, overall multiverse, don't have humans in them. Well, there's only 5% that do. Well, our causal framework is automatically restricted to that 5% because we cannot not exist. The chance of us not existing has already happened outside of our band of change that we can manipulate. Let's say that and of those 5%, 1% of those, Hitler cured cancer. That would be outside of our causal framework because not only has Hitler already existed in the past, but there's not a lot of change you can commit to the past in order to affect the future and change the present in a way that is so dramatic. The more dramatic the change is, the less likely you can move your bubble outside of the band of causality you currently are residing within, that top layer of noodles that's visible to you. Less likely it is you can dive down farther. The more time that passes, the less likely. The more people that die, the less likely. But if you want to change reality slightly by going over and kicking a light pole, which you normally wouldn't do, but you're just doing it because it's completely random, then the universe will start trying to follow your lead as opposed to following the lead of other people who don't effectively change the format of reality as often as you do. Hopefully that makes sense to you. It's complicated and it's confusing, but it's extremely important. Because if you become one of these willing participants in our overall reality, then every little thing you do becomes a cue to the universe to change itself in accordance with your wishes and your actions, your desires, your needs that you might not even be aware of. If you become a conscious co-creator of our reality and start molding it to your own particular needs, wants, desires, then you can do something really terrible, like be a Jacob Rothschild and hurt people, or you can be kind of like Jesus and bring people back from the fucking dead. It's not impossible. In fact, there's plenty of realities where people who you know that are dead are not dead. You just have to jump into that reality, which you can do by shifting the bubble from one layer of noodles to the other, by committing an obscene number of random small actions that the universe would not foresee. It finds it easier to go with you and to follow your lead than it does to change itself while following the lead of someone who's less actively participating in changing reality. It's less static, there's less blowback, there's less grind and like friction. It really is like a friction thing, like two pieces of sandpaper like smushed up against each other. It's like so much harder to move those two pieces of paper than it would be like two pieces of like plastic, which are freely sliding back and forth because they have smooth surfaces. If you become that smooth surface where nothing can attach itself to you, and things can slide off you, and you can easily slip from one to the other, then the universe will start trying to follow your lead instead of people who are, even though they might have the ability to commit better change or more change because they have like money or power or whatever, because they have the ability to do more does not mean they're necessarily using that ability to change reality, because they're working within the flow of the universe and being lazy, not mentally focusing. I am mentally focusing. I'm changing reality every time I take a breath by doing stuff like this, by talking to y'all outside of my comfort zone, by coming out on Facebook as a schizophrenic, by telling random children that I see playing in an apartment complex, hey, you guys are great. I love you guys. Y'all have a great day. I felt so weird whenever I said that. I actually said it accidentally to these kids. I was like videotaping the apartment complex, hoping to move in there. And I saw these little black kids playing by this like gazebo. And I was like, hey guys, no, we don't want to be on camera. I'm like, I'm just taking some pictures so I can show it to some people on YouTube. I really like this apartment complex. I used to live here a long time ago. And I was just talking to them. I was like, I have a 7-year-old little girl. How old are you? Okay, you're 7 too. Blah, blah, blah. I talked to them just for a couple minutes while I was filming around the courtyard. I was like, all right, guys, y'all have a good day. I love y'all. Bye. I just accidentally, like you sometimes do whenever you hang out film with somebody. I'm sure you've done it before, especially like exes and stuff like that. I didn't mean to say it, but and they didn't really act like I said anything at all. But I was like, ugh, that's weird. That's fucking creepy. But I was like, oh, fucking, I do love those kids. They're sweet. Like I love all little kids. I love all people. Slowly, as you become an active participant in the co-creation of the universe around you and start driving the causal bubble through the bowl of noodles, the bowl of noodles will start changing itself through you. You start doing things, you're like, wow, did I just do that thing? Did I just do that? There's someone should not like me. But wow, it really did something cool. I can't believe I asked that girl out. I got her number. And then 10 years later, you're married and have 4 kids. Because that was your ultimate destiny. Because that's how free will and divine destiny or fate can be completely the same thing. They are the same thing. Not one or the other exists, just like nature versus nurture. Not one is more effective than the other. It's the combination of the two in different percentiles that fluctuates through time and space that allows one to be effective in the first place, or the other. You need divine will. You need that free will driving force of the individual. But you also need, in the same respect, the universe's ultimate plan for you, fate, destiny. With those two working together, with your right hand and your left hand, as above, so below, with that relation, you really can affect this marvelous change. Become a creator. The only way you can do that is to become a little bit fucking crazy. That's why I am way ahead of the game, guys. Ooh-ah. Ooh-ah, ooh-ah. Create reality. Change the world. Change your fate. Change the future. Bring back the dead. And cut down the living. Make changes by using the operating platform that the universe has given you. the operating platform that Alice was designed to eavesdrop on and to function inside of. Become a god by admitting that the universe is completely within your realm of understanding. I love you guys. As that guy from Leap Project says, nanu nanu. Nanu nanu nanu. By the way, I hate that shit. That's why I don't watch him. Fucking that, and he can't read. Great videos, like great titles, like great thumbnails. I'm like, oh yay, some Gnostic shit, or some Sumerian text, cuneiform. Ooh yay, and I click on, like, oh god, this guy again. Fuck. Stop it seducing me with your fucking intelligence, and start seducing me with your ability not to quote Mork and Mindy. Fucking how old are you, dude? Come on, shit. I love you guys. I love little black children playing by gazebo. And I love Pop-Tarts. Especially those wild berry ones. They're great. That was completely random, but that's how I roll. And that's how the universe rolls. And it's rolling with me. Peace, niggas.